Are you the person who gives endlessly, so to clients, to teams, to families, to friends, loved ones, neighbors, list goes on and on, but in the process you forget the most essential person, yourself? Then you're going to want to listen to this episode because while I know you know that prioritizing yourself is important, I'm going to give you permission to prioritize yourself in this episode. And if you resonated with my intro around how women are basically pulled constantly in the direction of everyone else's needs and wants, like those clients, the kids, the teams, the friends, the family, the neighbors, the list goes on and on. In the process of managing all of those things and all of those people and making sure everyone's good, you disappear. It's really sad, but it's true. And oftentimes when I ask people, write down your priorities. The name or the thing that they don't write down is their own name. So I ask you, when was the last time that you were on your own priority list? And if you're like, oh, well, I get my nails done, I get my hair done, I read a book the other day, that's fine. And if you're also thinking, well, I have a business and I put all of my own goals on my own priority list, that's great too. But is everything that you need and want to not only survive, but to thrive, are all of those happening in your current schedule and in everything that you're doing? Do you have yourself as a priority in your decision making? And so today I'm going to talk a little bit about the benefits and disadvantages, why you're not doing it to kind of like spark or point out maybe a point where you didn't realize you weren't prioritizing yourself. Because the kind of the big idea I want to get across here, or big ideas, is that self-prioritization, prioritizing yourself, I can't even say it, it isn't selfish, it's smart. It helps you to not be selfish, but self-full, and not full of yourself in an egotistical way, but full of self in that you're putting yourself first. We all know that saying around put your own mask on first, right, on the airplane. It's basically the foundation of sustainable success. Because I know you want success, you're a high achieving woman, but do you want to sustain that? Do you want to be able to keep doing that? And do you want to live a long life and leave a big legacy? I'm sure you do. And so sustainable success comes from prioritizing yourself. Really, you can't lead powerfully, create boldly, or serve effectively if you're exhausted, resentful, and you don't have any time for yourself. Now, the women who rise, the women who do well, the women who are having more success and happiness, they're not doing more. They're not. They're actually just protecting their energy better. And I want to say that again. The women who rise aren't doing more, they're protecting their energy better. And a lot of people say, oh, Diane, you do so much and you're achieving so much. But the reality is that I've been out of necessity figuring out how can I be more places and do more things without it taking more of my time and energy? Because there have been times when I've put everyone else first. Like I had a client who had an event. I was coming to speak at it as well as support her. And I was throwing up all night long. You know, those nights when, or there's times where you're hugging the toilet bowl and you don't care that you're lying on the floor. That's when I know I'm really sick. When I don't care, I'm lying on the bathroom floor. And basically, all night, I'm thinking about her and I'm thinking about the need for me to attend and the importance of me being there to present my piece. I'm not thinking about me and the need to rest and get better. And so, what do? In the morning when I've done throwing up all night? I guess I had food poisoning or something. Yeah, I had a few soda crackers. I had a shower. I was one of the first people there and one of the last to leave. And then I was dead for days after that. And the reason why I stuck to it is because I have a value of commitment and I'm not a flake and I'm not going to like not go. But did I have to be first there, last out? Could I have just shown up, done my talk and left? For sure. That would have probably prioritized myself. But that was a time in my business where I said yes to everything else, everyone else, new clients, speaking gigs, collaborations, other people's needs, demands. It basically, if there was an opportunity, I would do it. But the problem is it's depletion in disguise. Depletion in disguise because I'm doing all of these things and putting myself last. And I'm sure you can think of a time when you put yourself last. So I had to start blocking time for me to think, to rest, to breathe, to go for walks, to do counseling or see a doctor or whatever was coming up. And the truth is my business didn't die. Business didn't fall apart. My life didn't fall apart. I didn't lose friends or relationships. Everything grew. Everything grew because I showed up with more energy, with more focus, and with more creativity because I wasn't depleted. So let me drop a fast fact for you here. Women who don't prioritize rest and self-care are 60% more likely to burn out than men in similar roles. Now, why is that, you wonder? It's called mental load or the invisible load, right? It's emotional management, it's household coordination, it's team harmony with our business or with our families and our friend groups. We have to be on top of every little piece. I bet if I asked you right now, like, how many eggs do you have? Or how soon do you need to buy butter? Or how much hand soap do you have? When's your kid's birthday? What are your kids' best friends' names? You're going to know all of these things because this is part of the mental load that we carry. So not only are we prioritizing the activities in our life, but we are keeping a running inventory of everything in our lives as well. Can you relate to that? Tell me I'm not the only one. My husband doesn't even have to think about, like, is a new toothpaste going to show up or a new body wash in the shower? It's just like there's some magical person that just takes care of this. That's me. It's not an elf or anything, right? So there are so many benefits of prioritizing yourself. Maybe you know them all or you think you do, but I want to tap into some of these things and share with you because maybe they're things you're wanting right now. Maybe they're things that you're like, I don't have enough of this. I wish I had more. Well, here are the benefits. First one, more energy. Who doesn't want more energy, especially as, I don't know, I'm in probably into perimenopause here. And I get to give more because I replenish myself. And it's not always the case. I'll tell you a story in a moment, how I screwed these three things. So, more energy, right? You can give more because you have more to give. Second is you make better decisions. Why? Because your brain's rested, because you can be clear and focused and make confident choices when your head is rested, when you have space to think about things, and when you're not depleted. And resilience, you get to bounce back faster when you have stress, when you have a setback. It doesn't take you down. It just maybe slows you down for a moment until you can figure out the pivot, the change, or the next approach you're going to make. So two things that have happened to me. I'll maybe just share one right now and then I'll come on to another. But I realized that I was feeling more emotional, had less ability to think clearly, couldn't be making good decisions, right? Didn't have much resilience. And I was like, what is going on with me? It must be coming into menopause. Must be that, right? And it wasn't until I realized by looking at my Fitbit tracking, my reports, that I have not had consistently more than probably 6.5 hours sleep. And this is on average, right? I haven't had more than 6.5 hours of sleep any given week. And so most weeks we're averaging 5.5 hours. And when it's like, when I read stats that say women need 8 to 10 hours of sleep, I basically was screwing myself. And what were the priorities that I was putting in there? Oh, cleaning up, getting other work done, other people's agendas. And as much as I know this, I really had to work on bringing my sleep back to be able to get some of these benefits like more energy, better decision making, and resilience. It was not pretty where I was at, and it was not good for me at all. So why do we do this? Why, if we know it, then why don't we continuously prioritize ourselves? If we know the benefits, why aren't we implementing it? Well, here's why we struggle. Three main ways why we struggle. The first, and let me know, like, what can you relate to? Guilt, right? How can I rest when there's so much to do? My husband can easily rest because he's just not caring about these other things. But I am like, oh my goodness, like my house has to be clean and I'm not going to sleep until my house is clean. How can I rest? Right? There's still so much work to do. So, how can I go to sleep now? I have to do all these things. And so we feel guilt. And we maybe feel guilt because we're comparing to other people or we're thinking about our role is to have a clean house as a woman, maybe we will say. And don't come for me with that because we know that there are very different expectations, right? If your house isn't clean and a family member comes over, a friend comes over, they're looking to you. They're not necessarily looking to your husband for, like, why isn't this clean? They're never going to probably say that unless you have a terrible family member. But guilt is the first reason we feel guilty that these things aren't getting done. We feel guilty that we're maybe not living up to these roles and responsibilities. And so we continue to push ourselves. The next is fear. And you might not come out as fear, but it's just this, like, the worry that if you slow down and if you don't take care of these things, it looks like you're slacking off or you're lazy or your commitment sucks. And so that's why I felt like, oh, I can't miss this speaking engagement. Like, what is she going to think? I can't miss supporting this client. What is she going to think? And so we have that fear that we're going to look bad for some reason if we say no, or we don't do it, or we don't do it to that like crazy high standard at our own self-sacrifice. And the third reason why I'm seeing that we're not doing this is conditioning. Conditioning. We have been trained to put everyone else first. And a story of that is I can remember having my kids, being, a little bit stay-at-home mom because I started my business. I was a certified coach 3 weeks before my daughter was born, and the whole year that I was pregnant, I was building my speaking and coaching business. I was working full time, and I was pregnant. And I was doing my coaching certification all in that year. And so, um, we were trained to put everyone else first. And the story around that is that I can remember so I have like a 3-year old and I have a baby, and I'm also building my business, and the kids are at home. Sometimes they're at daycare. But my husband comes home and he disappears. He's come home from work and he disappears. And then I hear the shower go on, and I'm like, really? He just went and took a shower? I was so mad. I was like, what? I wanted to take a shower. Why did he get to go take a shower? He just went upstairs. He didn't even tell me. And he comes downstairs, and I said, where did you go? And he said, well, I went to have a shower. And I was like, must be nice. You get to go have a shower. He's like, you want to have a shower? Go have a shower. And I'm like, yes, but the baby needs to be changed. And meaning my little boy at the time, and my girl, like, she wants someone to read her another book, and dinner has to be made, and then laundry has to be folded. And like, all of these things have to happen before I can shower. And he's like, no, you don't. Like, just go shower. And it's funny how I always check in with everyone around me that everyone is okay before I would go and shower. Or if I wanted to go and do something or needed to go do something, I'd make sure everyone was okay first. Hmm. Have you done that yourself? Has someone, a client or a team member ever told you, oh, that's amazing, you're always available? Was that a compliment? Are you always available because you're in fear of missing a client or needing to serve or being seen as not living up to the standard that you need to be in? Yeah. So that for me was like, why do I have guilt or fear or conditioning Why am I, falling victim to these things when my husband could just go and take a shower? Like it's not that big of a deal. So what happens? And I've ignored these things. I have. And as I said, I just realized a few months ago that my sleeping habits were so poor. When you don't prioritize yourself, these three things can happen. And so check in with yourself. Maybe score yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being like, yes, this is happening to me, and 1 being not so much. Because these are the things that I see in the high achieving women that I work with, in the business owners that I work with. These things are coming up. And we'll see also like what you what came up in my last story. So the first is chronic stress. So that feeling of I'm always on, this is always happening, and every like I have to be getting all this stuff done. That energy of stress. And so this can show up in at night before you go to bed. You just can't turn your brain off. It's like tick, 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 going through all the things. Or if you wake in the middle of the night, it's really hard to get back to sleep. And you feel like you never get to really come down and have like a pause and a chill time, or going on vacation. You're still thinking of all the things you have to do. And you're not really present with your family because you're still going through your to-do list. The next is resentment. Resentment builds. It builds. Look at the resentment I had for my husband and just having a shower. So, resentment for people, resentment for things in your life, right? What you once loved can feel heavy and hard to do. You maybe loved to cook before, and now you're like, I don't even want to do that. It's just there's so much going on. And you don't want to have resentment to your passions or your loved ones or your clients or whatever it may be, because you haven't been able to prioritize yourself. And the last one is creativity can start to fade, right? Because you can't be innovative and creative and passionate when you're exhausted. You can't, right? You can't pour from an empty cup. That's why I often say, like, it's not just about filling your own cup first, it's about filling that cup so much that it overflows into the saucer. And then we're going to give from the saucer, not even from the cup, so that the cup's not empty. But you're going to lose that creativity. And as if you're a CEO, you need that creativity to move your business forward, to be innovative and to be able to adapt and pivot and be agile in business. And if you're in a career, you need the creativity to problem solve and to support different situations and to move projects forward. So, chronic stress and resentment and creativity fading, these are not things that you want to be having. So, if you scored each one of these on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you? And where do you want to be? So, if chronic stress is at like a 6 out of 10, well, where do you want to be? You probably want to be down at like a 2 or a 3. And so, what would need to happen to get you there? You see, the sad thing is I'm seeing and hearing about brilliant women who are burnt out. And it's not from a lack of ability. It's not from a lack of intelligence, desire, success, but it's from a lack of prioritizing themselves, a lack of boundaries. And then they can't move forward because they're the bottleneck holding themselves back. And then they can't move forward because it's too hard. And so, what are you going to do about it? Well, there's so many things that you could do about it. Very simplest thing that I'm going to suggest for you right now or challenge you to is this coming week, set one non-negotiable hour for yourself. Protect it like your most important meeting, your most important client, and you're going to prioritize yourself. You can either set it up in advance of what you're going to do. This is me time, right? Or you time. Set up what you're going to do. It could be a walk, a nap, coffee time in your favorite coffee shop. It could be time to think, create, draw, play, read, cook, whatever it is a time for you. And as I said, you can set that up in advance, exactly what you're going to do, or you can start that time and go, what do I really want to do right now? What sounds really fun to do right now? What do I want to do right now? And doing the dishes or laundry or finishing a project for business are not the answers. It's like, what would you like to do that would actually prioritize you? What would it be? I'd love to hear your ideas. So shoot me an email, Diane@DianeRolston.com, or drop me a note on one of your favorite social channels. And when guilt creeps in, when you think, I could do more, I could be more, I could have more, I could serve more people, remind yourself that your worth isn't in how much you give, but it's how intentionally you live. So repeat after me. My worth isn't something I give. Sorry, my worth isn't in how much I give, it's in how intentionally I live. Hmm. That's something that I need to remind myself because I can shift back into old habits. The number one limiting belief I see in my clients, and this is mainly surfaced from the Dynamic Year program now called the Breakthrough, where we talk about our old paradigms and the things, our limiting beliefs that are holding us back. And the number one I have found is I am not enough. And when I am not enough is happening, we push and we do more. And that's when we don't prioritize ourselves. I found that the women who thrive, the women who are the happiest, aren't the ones running the hardest. We need to move away from hustle culture, right? They're the ones who have just stopped apologizing for taking care of themselves. They've stopped apologizing for not attending certain events. They've stopped apologizing for not helping people move and maybe offering to pay for it. They've stopped apologizing, saying no to working with certain clients or on certain projects. They said no and not apologized. They've set boundaries and not apologized because when you love yourself and when you prioritize yourself, you shouldn't have to apologize. I'm sorry I couldn't make it. I was sick. You can be apologetic that you missed it because you wanted to be there, but not for saying yes to yourself. And so I've had so many offerings of being on boards and co-chairing conferences and all of these fabulous opportunities, attending conventions and speaking at different places. And when I look at my life right now and how my kids need me, I've had to say no to these other things to honor them, but more importantly, to leave space for me. And so that has been hard, but I don't apologize that I can't do those things. I often say, I really wish I could. That sounds like a great opportunity, but the timing is not right. So I'm curious, what was the biggest takeaway from this episode of the Dynamic Women podcast? Um, if it resonated with you, this episode, feel free to reach out to me, Diane@DianeRolston.com. Let me know what spoke to you and where I can support you. And sharing with a friend. Hey, share with another woman who needs to hear this. Maybe someone who gives it life her all or her business her all and needs a reminder to prioritize yourself. If you haven't yet, hit subscribe so you don't miss a new episode coming out. I do these weekly because I want to make sure that you can create the success in your life, but also have the satisfaction on your own terms, right? We want to have the and success and satisfaction. So I'm Diane Rolston. Until next time, stay dynamic. Bye.